In this video, I'm going to break down to you my entire Google Ads ecosystem, which is responsible for scaling over 100 brands beyond $500,000 per month in revenue. And this ecosystem is a very simple three-step process which involves three different phases. But this is the same exact ecosystem we literally use even right now to this day to scale brands under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. But with that, let's start by understanding why even this ecosystem, why this approach, why should you change your own current Google Ads strategy to match something like this? Well, first things first, Google Ads requires consistent incoming data to truly scale. It doesn't matter if you run a lot of performance max campaigns or standard shopping campaigns or search campaigns. It needs momentum. If it doesn't have momentum, it's going to always struggle to scale. It's going to always struggle to grow. That's going to be one of the main reasons why one day you do a lot in terms of sales and revenue, and then the very next day you're barely scraping by. The more momentum Google has, the better it grows. But a true Google Ads scale comes from a systematic approach. It's an approach which tells the algorithm what products need to be properly tested. Number two, it tells the algorithm what products are already profitable. And then finally, it tells the algorithm which products are ready to now explode. And I'm going to go over all of these very shortly as we go over the three different phases that are involved in here. But once you tell the algorithm all of these things, that's when it's almost hard not to scale your brand. But that now brings us to the three-step process, which basically this ecosystem is built on top of. The first phase is what I like to call the testing phase. Now, on a very broad level, you might consider testing as product testing. That's what most e-commerce brands think as well. However, testing goes much deeper than just top of the level product testing. Yes, the main goal of the product testing phase, the first phase, is to give the algorithm a thorough chance to test all of your products properly. It also is designed to help you test out different campaign strategies, smart bidding versus manual bidding. A lot of e-commerce brand owners, they get stuck up on just the product side of things. That's only one part of testing. You need to incorporate the other parts of testing as well. And what you want to understand is when it comes to the actual campaigns, it's really not as important as the strategy which you use for the product testing side of things. And the strategy that's used here, it needs to allocate your daily budget properly to all of your potential products. This means if you have $100 a day budget, that budget needs to be going towards all of your products equally, because if it's not, if one campaign is hoarding it or if 1 or 5 products are hoarding it, then that's not an ideal product testing strategy to begin with. But in general, product testing can be approached in a way that's similar to this. It can either be approached based on segmentation, based on product collections. It can be approached based on segmentation, based on certain KPIs. So if you have certain ROAS numbers you want to achieve for an individual product or a collection of products, you can group them together. It can also be approached based on the previous data you have through your other marketing channels. So let's say, for example, you have a lot of data on Facebook and you know exactly what works. Well, in that situation, you can give a little bit more importance to those products while still testing the others, which have not really shown demand yet. Finally, you can segment everything into something I like to call the all-in-one approach, which essentially means you just have one major performance max campaign or one major standard shopping campaign, and you're just putting and pushing all of your budgets towards these specific products. And it's very simple. You don't want to overcomplicate this. It's about segmentation, but also testing strategies in terms of the campaigns themselves, as well as testing the actual products. And this account right here, which we scaled a couple of weeks ago, is a perfect example of this, because for that account, we were actually segmenting based on the certain collections that that brand has. And just within the first phase of testing, you are able to achieve results like these. But that's only the first phase. Now we need to talk about the second phase, which is involved within this ecosystem, and it's the profitability phase. Now, at this point, to consider your brand within phase 2 or within the profitability phase, you should have some products working. If nothing is working at all right now, if you don't have a product which you can clearly say, yes, this is a profitable product for me, then you are not at this level. You need to focus on phase 1. You need to test more. You need to kind of find the best approach there. But once you have something that even slightly works, now you're going on to phase 2. And the main goal here for this profitability phase phase is to get some strong products which are now starting to provide consistent results. Because what we now start doing is those strong products which are now getting pushed more by Google's algorithm, we start also focusing more on them. We start also improving their backend, improving the product feed in terms of the information we have added within them, etc. And some ways to do this are, for example, optimizing the product feed with keywords that are getting sales. So if you go to your Google Ads account within the Insights section, you will notice that certain sales are getting you more results over others, and you want to start incorporating them within your product feed section. And the Insights section is again the perfect place to find this information. Second way to do this is to A/B test different product images plus titles of those that are already working well. So if there's a product that's already working well, you want to start A/B testing that product by duplicating that product landing page, and then now testing different product images one by one, or testing different product titles, because not only does that give you a better approach, but it can also help introduce your brand to a completely different angle of your audience. It's very important, absolutely crucial, to be A/B testing product images first and then product titles. Just keep in mind that you want to do these A/B tests one at a time. So don't try to change product image and titles all at once, all at the same time. But third and most important thing you can do here is to take out bad products from the good campaigns to segment them out. So what you want to do is you want to have segmentation strategies enabled, where after you start getting results, let's say you have a performance max campaign which is starting to do well, but then there's some bad products in there, you don't want to just let those bad products run within that PMax, because that destroys this entire ecosystem. That introduces parasites within your ecosystem. So you want to keep your ecosystem clean from any parasites, and the best way to do that is by just segmenting them out into their own campaigns. That kind of introduces the profitability phase at the greater scale, and now you can start getting consistent results. Because once you are finished with the profitability phase, which in all reality you never really truly finish the profitability phase, you are always in one of these two phases, but once you're at a decent scale here, that's when you move on to the third phase, which is the scaling phase, the final phase of the ecosystem. But keep in mind, this is not the phase where you just end things. These phases are always ongoing, so you're always jumping from the third phase to the second, from the second phase to the third, and then back to the first, so on and so forth. At least that's what we see with the brands we handle under my Google Ads agency or marketing. Which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue right now, and you want to scale to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me. This is essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But now the scaling phase, or as I like to call it, the aggressive scaling phase, is where we go from just testing around with different products, with different marketing angles, to now pushing a lot of decent budgets to the campaigns that are working well. And it's implementing whatever is working on a greater level of scale. This means aggressively changing budgets, aggressively changing bids, or optimizing the product titles on a more aggressive manner, product images, other ad related factors to match what the results say. So by this point, since you already have built a very strong foundation from phase 1 and phase 2, you don't need to really take things easy anymore. You don't need to really take things slow anymore. You can be a little bit more aggressive. And what you want to understand is, whatever the approach is, whatever your current strategy is, it should be based on results and consistency. So if for whatever reason the current strategy you have, it's not working, or it's not really the most profitable, or when you try to scale it, that doesn't scale, you need to get consistency first by staying in phase 1 and phase 2 of this ecosystem before you can truly jump to phase 3. And I know a lot of brands, they love to jump to phase 3. They kind of overestimate their brand and think their brand is already in phase 3 when they're barely starting to go into phase 2 from phase 1. So you need to basically let the ads show that they're working and they're getting your results before you really start scaling. Because if for whatever reason your brand lacks consistency in terms of results, pause your scaling approach and let the algorithm and let the campaigns optimize again before you try to scale again. Because if the campaigns become de-optimized and if you force your way into scaling, it's just going to lead your campaigns down the wrong rabbit hole and you're just going to be unprofitable at the end. So ensure that you let the algorithm optimize before you truly start scaling, because at the end of the day, it's a constant process of shifting between these three phases. It's never going to be where you're at phase 3 and now that's it, it's the finish finish line. You can just continue easily scaling up and up. It's always going to be sometimes where you start scaling up, then something breaks and you jump back down to phase 1, then you go back up to phase 2, and then so on and so forth. It's about running all of these at once, all these 3 phases at once within this entire ecosystem to ensure there's consistency and momentum. Because again, if there's no consistency and momentum within this ecosystem, if you're just too focused on one of these phases, then something else is going to break. That's why these are all linked up together with these arrows right here. If you don't link these up, if you delete one of these arrows, then it's going to break the entire link, which is going to make the entire ecosystem crumble down. So again, keep this entire ecosystem in mind next time you're thinking about scaling your brand beyond $500,000 a month or more. And if you need a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to these levels and you're already doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here of a case study I did of a recent brand. We followed this exact ecosystem to scale to multi 7 figures with Google Ads alone.